Afternoon everyone, Ian from DIY Home and Gardening over at the allotment this afternoon, and next to me there is the tree I'm going to be planting. It's an apricot, so yeah, turn the camera around and show you. Alright, so that's the variety, Helen de Rousselon. Had it about 5 years, but I've never had a permanent place to plant it in the garden at home, and as it happens we've taken on this allotment site, so I thought I'd bring it over and plant it here. Same time I've planted that dwarf mulberry as well, so yeah, should be good to get something going. So really this is a how to do type video, not on the plant itself but on how to plant a tree, and it is quite straightforward. First off, select where you're going to position it, and that's where we're going. Next, what we need to do is essentially dig a hole, and what you're looking to do is to dig a hole that is about 50% or half again the size of this container. So you're going to be adding on probably about another 6 inches of planting diameter all the way around, and then we'll go deeper as well than the depth of the pot. So that's it, is essentially dig this out, remove the weed from the soil as we go, and get the soil onto one side, so we create the hole. So I get going. So a little tip for you to avoid having to do things multiple times, forget where you're planting, just using the fork. And all I tend to do, just stick the fork in on the 4 sides, give it a slight lever so you're disturbing the soil, and that will create your points which you can then join up by means of digging. Then once you've got it marked, you can then move your tree out of the way, so you're just moving it the once, and then you can safely dig the hole in full knowledge that you're going to have the hole in the right position. Now for the hard part, which is the digging. Right, so I've got a hole dug. Now the question is it big enough? Now here's the thing, you don't want to move plants more than you have to, especially when they're in a large container. So simple thing, if you've got something to hand that will act as a bit of a measuring guide, use that. So here, got the spade, just get your finger roughly in line with where the top of the pot is, which will mean that you've got a bit of breathing space, and then come to the hole, lower it in, and check that your finger is going to be either level with, or preferably slightly below, the finishing height of the ground. You'll notice that it's all clean out at the base, and this is proper Essex clay soil. So Essex clay soil gets nice and hard in the summer, and in winter it becomes quite saturated. So what we're doing, just put the fork in, give it a light wiggle around, just so you break up that base, so it's not going to act like a giant sump, you know, somewhere where the water is going to sit. So we get that in, little wiggle around, and then into that base we're going to put some good stuff. So in this instance I'm going to get some chicken manure, so let me just grab that for you. Okay, so chicken manure has gone in, it's nicely rotted down, which is good. You don't want fresh stuff in the bottom because it can cause scorch on the roots. So we've just got about 2 inches worth of manure in the base there. Next stage is really just trying to get the pot off. Now if you're by yourself, you know, obviously if you can get the pot off in one piece, that's great. If you can't and it's a plastic pot, then I know it becomes less usable, but around here our local recycling centres will take black plastic pots, but you can always just put a knife or saw up the side on both sides to cut the pot, and then you can just peel it away. That said, I'd always go down the method, if possible, of trying to get the tree out. If there's two of you, then get one person to hold the pot and the other person pull. Okay, so we got the root ball out of the pot, and you can see that it's a nice fibrous root zone with the fresh growth at the base. There's a lot of people that say about breaking it all up. Personally, I don't like doing that because you can cause the tree to stress if you're breaking up massive sections of it. So just get the corners, give it a little scruff, and actually you're better off giving the top section a bit of a scruff up, because that will be the most fibrous root and the least important of the root, certainly for the tree, because most trees put down their tap root, which goes straight down till they either stop putting it down or they hit something solid, and the top section is the most fibrous, where it's literally there to draw in the surface moisture. So give the surface a scruff up and then drop it in the hole. Cheers. At that point you can either leave it as it was in the container, or take the opportunity to straighten it up a little bit, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to put a little bit of compost in, and then soil to about halfway up the hole, compact that down so that we get out the excess air pockets, and then we can have a little look and fill it up again. There's always the temptation again to put in loads and loads of compost or fresh compost to fill the whole of the hole, but don't do that, because all that happens is that the roots will venture out into this nice fresh compost, and they will be lovely and happy there, and they will just want to sit there. They won't want to venture out. So ideally what you want to do is you mix up the soil that you've dug out with some fresh compost, about a 50-50 mixture, and then use that to backfill the hole. That way they get the roots of the tree get the benefit of the fresh compost and the nutrients that it provides, and a little bit of lightness and aeration, but at the same time the roots will get used to your less desirable soil, in this case the clay, and by getting used to it will then mean that once the roots have ventured out into this hole, they will then continue and establish into the rest of the ground without any issues. So that's the next job, is say fill halfway up the hole, firm it round, and then finish up. So nothing too technical, so I'm just going to get on and do it. Okay, so that's the hole backfilled, firmed down nicely, so at halfway stage, and then on the top, as you can see, you also see that we're fractionally below the finishing height of the surrounding area. It's not a major concern, as the rest of the area's got to be done as yet, but just going to give it a little bit of top dressing of this chicken manure. As you know, it's it won't be used straight away, but as the rain gets on it, that will get some of the nutrients down into that root zone as well, and for the time being it just helped to improve that soil, and yeah, as I say, I'm not too worried, because this lot's still got to be dug over and sorted and levelled, but that's me finished planting, aside from giving it a bit of a watering. If it was a larger tree than it is, what I would say is that to add a stake, and then you'd be adding the stake to then come at a 45-degree angle, going down into the ground, and then you would tie the tree to the stake by way of a figure of 8 onto the stake itself and secure it that way. Generally speaking, unless it's in a very exposed position or you're putting in a particularly large tree, should be fine just planted as it is. Look at that, almost on cue, got a nice gust of wind, and you can see that's anchored into the ground there. And really, as I say, with the staking, the only reason you're putting it in is to come up about a third of the height of the tree. That allows the top of the tree still to move around, which will encourage root development. If you use the old method, which was sticking a stake straight down, not only does it go straight through the root ball and cause a lot of root damage, but actually it does very little to help hold the tree up. You know, because it's not allowing for the tree to move around, and as the trees don't move, they don't have to anchor themselves with any extra rooting. So yeah, that's that. Tree planted. Hopefully we'll get some fruit off that next year. So all that's left to say is thanks for watching the video. Hope you found it of interest and use. If you've got any questions, please send them to me. I'll do my best to answer them for you. If you like what I'm doing, and please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on the future videos that I'm doing. And yeah, there's always stuff to do outside in the garden, so even when it's blowing a bit of a gale like it is today, get outside, have some fun, and till next time, see you soon. Bye for now.